This is the Cult Faction Podcast, episode number 46, White Rabbits and Remake Habits.
Superman.
Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the Cult Faction Podcast, White Rabbits and Remake Habits. I'm your host, Brett Summers, and joining me are...
Damien Hicks.
And Paul Hawkins. So I wasn't sure whether you were going to say and.
So on the week that Whoopi Goldberg made a slight mistake and said that the Holocaust wasn't about race, we are reviewing the TV shows and everything else that's been going down. So let's have a spin around the table. Damien, what's been happening? How you been?
Living the dream. What was that comment there, Paul?
Well, when you start off, when we're all getting together saying, I'm in a foul mood, I want this to be as short as possible. And then Brett says, how are you getting on? It's like, well, gee, are you just gearing up for a fight, Brett? He's not in a good mood. Just, he's like a bear with a sore head. Just maybe back off a bit.
It's fine. There won't be a fight because we're not in the studio again for the third week in a row.
There could be a lyrical fight.
Yeah.
Like
my
spitting
turn.
down
Like a rap
lines.
battle. Yeah.
My turn to be in the quarantine. I've succumbed to the corona for the second time, but I'm okay. It's nowhere near as bad as the first time. Thankfully, I had my jabs, and that stopped me being even more ill. So they are worth having.
Allegedly.
So I'm not going to get political on that.
Remember that conversation
really
we had earlier
nice.
about slick, straight to the point podcast?
Oh, so we can't have any
What we
banter
doing?
whatsoever.
Oh,
It's all news.
Hey, David,
It's all-
hey, David, how are we doing? And then they're like, Paul, just talk to me.
I know.
Okay,
Sorry.
so Paul, how are you doing? Paul, how are you doing?
I don't know. I'm allowed to answer. Well,
Yeah, there you go.
it's not been the best week, because it's that time of year where people have to do their self-assessment. So yeah, it's great for the tax man, but for everyone else, it's rubbish. But no, otherwise I'm fine. I haven't got COVID yet. Still waiting.
I told you, just pretend you
Okay.
have. Take some
No.
time off.
I can't do that. You know what I'm like. I can't break the rules.
Do it.
Breaking the law. Breaking the law.
So Damien, then we'll spin it back round. What have you been watching?
Yeah, come on,
What's
host,
been
bring
on
it back round.
What's been on the Hicks box this week?
So, on the Higgs box, that sounds like some sort of physics thing.
This does sound a bit like Higgs boson.
That's the one, thank you. I knew there's something in there. Anyway, so what's been on my telly box this week? I started to watch Rig 45 on Amazon Prime. Now, this has been out there, I think it originally season 1 dropped back in 2018, and it's been on my watch list probably since around then, but never got around to watching it and thinking it's one season. Is it going to be a second? I'm going to bother starting and watch. Now, a second one's dropped. So I thought, here we go. Must be good.
Cool.
It's got a second season. Is it any good, I hear you ask?
Well, that's what I was going to say. First of all, what was it kind of? What's the gist of it? And is
I was
it
going to say,
any
you're
good?
going to give us a bit of the yeah.
All right, then. Fine, I'll give you the gist before I go on to the conference. Right. 2
Oh,
days
God.
before Christmas, Andrea is sent by Benthos Oil to investigate a fatal accident on the company's North Sea rig. Faced with silence and a raging storm that cut off communications, she soon comes to the conclusion that there's a killer on board.
Oh, murder she drilled.
Yeah, that sounds far more
Like a
entertaining
porn
than what
film.
this is, to be fair.
Okay, but it's got a
So-
second season.
But it's got a second season, which I haven't quite
is it a-
worked out why
is it-
yet.
Is it the same oil rig, or is that going to
I
be?
don't know. I
a
haven't
gimmick?
got that far. I haven't even got to the end of this one
Ah.
yet. So it's an odd one. The story's there as I've just laid out, but people are being killed left, right, and centre. So this should be good and interesting. But the pacing's all off, and the script is clunky to say the least. So
Clunky.
It kind of just everyone on the rig. There's only about 8 or 9 people. 'cause
Oh, so it's not going to last long then. I'm
No.
amazed it got 2 series.
Exactly. But it's so they're doing maintenance. That's why it's like a skeleton crew, because they're doing maintenance, and that's why there's like so few people on there. And like I say, people are being bumped off left, right, and centre. But it takes about 4 episodes for the pace to kind of catch up with what's going on, if that makes sense. It just seems really slow. But everyone's a cliche, so you don't really care.
Is it Red Adair?
He's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wasn't killed on the oil rig.
Oh,
He used to
that
put
was a
out
bit shit.
fires, didn't he?
But carry on.
He didn't used to put out fires,
Yeah,
you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, on
Yeah,
oil
no,
rigs. That's what I said.
Yeah, but there's no fire on the oil rig. So if he was there just
I
hanging
don't
around,
know. He hasn't told. He
Yeah, but
hasn't
if
told
he-
us what's happened yet.
again, if I was on an oil rig and Red Adair's just sat around, I'd be a bit. Hold on, someone's going to kick off here. They got Red Adair. You know,
Or
put the matches
what the
down.
hell is why is the ghost of Red Adair on this oil rig? I think we've just made a better show. But carry on.
Yeah,
Sorry,
it
Damon.
does sound like it. No, that's about it. That's all I really got to say about it. I think 2 episodes away from finishing it, and they're making a big point of pointing you in the direction of who you think it should be, that you know full well it's not going to be this person that's the killer, because
Yeah.
you know, otherwise it makes the whole thing pointless. They're just making such a big thing of that you go, well, I know it's not him, so it's probably just someone hidden there that you haven't even met yet who's going to turn out to be the killer, something daft like that. But like I say, it's got a second season, so
Are oil rigs that big?
they're
There's
huge
lots.
monstrosities
of
in the middle of the
places,
ocean. Like,
Yeah, I mean, but
They
not like
can house,
someone
like,
could live there.
thousands of people
Yeah, but it's
with
obviously one
lots
of
of
the
nooks
crew
and crannies
Thousands
and
of people.
to do
yeah.
nasty deeds.
Yeah, but I don't think you get thousands. I suppose you can. I suppose how big you
yeah. I
make
mean,
it.
I might be exaggerating slightly to make my point, but oil
I'm
rigs
just actually
are
like, if you
huge.
lived on one, but if you lived on one and there was someone hiding there, would it be easy to?
Yeah, but it's one of the people, isn't it?
But even if there
No,
is
I'm just
someone,
saying.
yeah, but even if there is someone hiding there, there's 8 people on the rig at the moment.
Oh yes.
So
Sorry,
I'll put it in terms you might understand. 8 people on the Death Star. Very easy to hide if there's only 8 of you on there.
Oh,
Isn't
now
it?
that sounds like a good series. The Skeleton Crew, where there's literally just like 8 people left, just looking after the Death Star while they're waiting for like the rest of the stormtroopers.
And every week they get to look after somewhere else. So then week 2 could be the Skeleton Crew and the Temple of Doom. Week 3 could be like Titanic or something. I don't know.
The Skeleton Crew, I
No.
like that. They're
Week 4 could be
like time bandits, but they just that for whatever reason they're always yeah, it's like Quantum Leaps and the Time Bandits. Every
So
week that they're
We need
putting,
some. Are any of us any good at animation? Because that would be a really good.
it took
poorly
us
animated,
30 years
but
to get
would it
this
be
together.
written show?
no, we're not animators, but we're
I'm just
ideas.
checking. You
men.
might have had like some sort of secret.
You were the one that
Talent.
could draw.
It took
Yeah,
30
animate,
years
though,
to
I
get
can
this
draw.
working.
This is true. Fair enough. But that's Rig 45. It's meh, is what it is. It's meh.
So you had a
Mm.
bit of a transparent
Come
thing where they're bigging up some people that to make them look one way even though it's not them. I finished Stay Close, which was the complete opposite.
We're moving out. No. Does the host want to take it over to Paul, or do we just?
I was trying to make it seamless.
He's very
trying to-
desperate tonight, isn't he?
No, I was just trying to make
Really?
it conversational because that's what we were trying to go for, and it segued nicely to me finishing Stay Close, where they're not setting up one person to be the murderer, and actually there's a little bit of a turn at the end of it. So yeah, finish the
So
series.
what did you think?
Did it get any better?
No, yeah. Well, again, I said originally that it's all right, apart from these 2 weird people that are completely out of sync with the rest
They
of what's
didn't fit
going
with
on.
the show at all. Yeah.
And if they'd have brought in, or if it had been written that there were just 2 nasties, as it were, that are there to sort out the job.
Cool, blimey, governor.
Yeah, exactly. It would have
Right,
been one
cut
thing.
the nasties here.
But they made
that
him.
accent went all over the place. That it started off somewhere close to Stepney, and then went down to Dorset, and then God knows where it ended up. But anyway,
From the east end of Cornwall.
but these 2 were just too far removed from the rest of what was going on. It's almost like they were just injected from another writer or another set. And I kind of get, I mean, they tried to explain the rationale for them being there and how that all tied in, but they were just a bit too odd.
It's like I said, they are in the book, and I think it obviously works better in text than it does on screen, I think. And they're probably, it's a long time since I read the original, but it's probably expanded more, that that little origin thing with the musical. That I reckon is probably maybe at least a full chapter or something, hence why it doesn't quite scan across into the show.
No, but it is good, and if you can get past those two, and they're not in it too much, so it doesn't take away too much from the 6 or 7, 8 episodes that there is. And to be fair, it's got James Nesbitt in, and we've mentioned this before. The guy's very good at doing what he does, and he's got that way of pulling on emotion, and there's some of that for his character as well. He's not lucky when it comes to love, let's face it, but he's also likable, easily so. He portrays that kind of guy that you'd go out for a beer with and you get on well with him. But as I said, he draws on the other emotional bits of his talent, and he's not a hard man necessarily in it, but he does a good job and helps to be that lead kind of detective role.
Does it end? This is going to sound weird, but does it end on an ending, or is there a dangle for
No,
more?
no, it ends. I mean, but whether they could bring back the character for another show, I don't know whether it's the same character in other books. But
there's another case or whatever.
Yeah, and they could definitely do that.
They could do that, but it would be just another James Nesbitt detective thing. I don't think it doesn't bring any. To be fair, it's an ensemble casting anyway, so it's not like the show is centered around his detective.
But
the
they
same
all
as
work
it's not
well.
centered around the other protagonists. It's just all of them.
I wouldn't necessarily go out my way to watch it, but if you are needing some time to kill, then it's bingey. The only reason I say that is because it's probably worthwhile binging, because we had a break for a couple of weeks and weren't that fussed about it because we were distracted by better things on telly. But if you can binge it, then it might be worth it.
I shall see. I've got my
you're not
binge
going to
list
watch
has
it.
grown recently. But
there are much more better things to spend time on, but it's still worthy if you're more interested in crime dramas.
Which brings me to my next point. Something better to spend your time on. Now, I might be a little slow on this one, but I think we've only just got
God, has it gone back to 2014 or something?
No.
Like your
Avenue
video
5.
games. Oh, yeah, I saw you text about that.
Yeah, it is a science fiction comedy. It's got Hugh Laurie and Josh Gad in it, and it's basically like the crew on this sort of intergalactic cruise ship, which is called the Avenue 5. It's HBO and Sky co-production, and it has got a series 2, but obviously COVID's got in the way of that at the moment. But it just popped up on Sky box sets, and I'd never heard of it before. But again, the original series was out, or at least in America, in sort of 2020. But had anyone else heard of it before? Is it just something that has been dropped in the UK, or have I missed the boat on it and just found it now?
Now that I know it's not the Sesame Street thing, I do remember seeing the adverts for it, but I never watched it.
Oh no, you should do it. It's very, very, very good. It's,
that the English teacher there. It's very, very good.
Very repetition and power of 3. I'll have you know. It was one of those shows that I was looking for something on. I was ill, obviously quarantined, COVID style, and I was like, well, what's this? This is science fiction. Let's have a look. Hugh Laurie is normally bankable. Josh Gad is normally all right, and I recognised a few other people as it started. As well, you guys, and the first one is basically, it's almost, I wouldn't say a parody, but it's a bit tongue in cheek, played totally straight, but on this cruise ship. But then as it goes along, you suddenly realise it's a lot more cleverer than you think it is. In the original episode, it could be just sitcom on a spaceship. Do you know what I mean? It's a cruise. They get knocked off course. Oh, it's going to take them longer to get back to Earth now. Panic. But no, really worth a watch. Some really cool guest cast. Lots of people you'll recognise. Hugh Laurie is awesome in it, but then he is. What always scares me is that most Americans probably don't realise like his roots and how he started. No, he's just a serious actor who did House and Paddington or Paddington now, and or whatever else. No, not Paddington. What's the other film we've done?
You're thinking Hugh Grant, Damien.
Don't bring me into this Paddington nonsense. I said house, and I left it at that.
You said Paddington
Did you
just a
not?
minute ago, didn't you?
I did not say Paddington. I've never
I
even
said
seen
Paddington.
Paddington.
That's
Oh,
Hugh
you missed
Grant.
You're missing out. No, he's in
Hugh-
one of them. He's in a.
Hugh-
No, he's not. He's Stuart Little. I knew it was one of the. He's the dad in Stuart Little, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those kids' films with like a puppet thing in it. Yeah. So,
Obviously.
but yeah, only 5 on Sky box sets now. It's only 9 episodes, half an hour each. Really worth it, and if you stick with it, it pays off big time as it goes along. But do pay attention, keeping the eye on the things in the background, everything like that. That was good. I've also enjoyed. Oh, Paul, this is one of yours.
No,
But I'm gonna
Damon, let me speak about it because you mentioned one thing. So
Okay,
so
well, go for your legend.
okay. So next thing I've been watching is Billy. Yeah. So one thing that popped up on, I think it was just like a Facebook post, and I saw the trailer to it, and I thought this has got Brett written all over it to a T, and it actually sparked some of my interest. And this is the Legend of Vox Machina, or Machina, depending on how you want to say it, on Amazon Prime. Now, this has got a load of people who do voice parts to many different cartoons and games and stuff. They're the creators and writers and actors from something called Critical Role. Critical Role has been going for probably about 6-7 years now, and again, it's all those guys that do web series, and it's a bit like online Dungeons and Dragons. Not my cup of tea, to be honest, but they have created. And it's also got Stephanie Beatriz or Beatriz, however you say it. We will know from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and it's basically about a group of misfits, yes, a band of misfits, that have to pay off basically their bar tab because they've trashed a bar, and also they're just down on their luck. They have no money, they have no jobs, so they have to take on a quest to save the realm of Exandria from basically an unknown force that turns out to be a huge dragon, and basically save the day. And because of that, they're the protectors of the realm. This is, I was trying to think about how to describe it. It's kind of like Games of Thrones, Dungeons and Dragons, and Beavis and Butthead, something like that, all rolled into one, with a bit of The Witcher thrown in for good measure. It's funny. It's not. You know how some of the adult cartoons are like Under the Decks or whatever it is, or some of the other stuff is just a bit too silly humor. This is grown up humor. You wouldn't want your children to be watching it. There's a sex craved dwarf that's basically trying to get the brothels and sing rock songs on his lute all the time. It's really worth a watch if this is your bag. And even if you think it isn't your bag, give the first episode maybe a watch. And it's not trying to shove it down your face, literally, as the dwarf probably would. It's just really funny. And it's also got a decent amount of action in it as well. And I know, Damien, you're not going to go near it with a barge pole unless you set a challenge to watch it.
Or just I'll probably ignore you.
Or just to spite me from saying that you're not going to go near it. But it's really, really worth a watch.
How long's an episode?
Oh, not long, under half hour, about 20-something minutes, because in the States there would have been a few breaks in between, no doubt. So yeah, within an hour.
In the States, it's a 3-hour episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, within
there's a break as soon as the credits are finished.
Hour and a bit, and you can catch up. There's 3 episodes that have dropped. The 4th one's coming out tomorrow.
Well, I watched it as well.
Well, I don't need to then,
turned
do
it
I?
off half. No, I turned it off halfway through episode 2. I just didn't get it, didn't like it, I thought it was awful.
There you go, Damien. So this is the thumbs up to you to say that you will like it.
There is a distinct possibility there If it's an adult cartoon that Brett doesn't like, there is a very strong possibility that I probably will.
It just reminded me of all the old. Do you remember the old like heavy metal cartoons in the early '80s? The kind of fantasy ones as well, and I think they made a film out of it in the end. I think it was called Heavy Metal, and it was like a but it just, I don't know, it was the animation of it. It was the style of the art and that just didn't, it just
The
jarred
animation
me.
was good. It wasn't.
But that style of drawing and that style of, it just jarred me. It just came very much, I don't know, I just felt like I should be in the Games Workshop painting some figures and having a really good laugh at this.
But I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand that comment because you watch anime, which is kind of over the top. This isn't. This is
Not
more
all
in
of
the,
it.
No, but this animation was more.
The only anime I've ever actually watched to the end is Death Note.
Right, but this anime was more akin to Dungeons and Dragons than the most of the stuff that you watch, which is, the anime is far removed from that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I don't know.
Even Masters of the Universe.
I went in wanting to like it, and I just, like when you just thought maybe I need to give it a go again. I was just watching it and like, what's happening? Oh yeah, what? Oh, okay, yeah.
Maybe that was when you're in your bad part of COVID.
maybe I just need to sit down and try it again. Actually, give it my full attention.
Yeah, because you didn't lose your taste necessarily. You maybe just lost your humour.
Oh, yeah. Well, I never had taste to begin with.
I'm just surprised that I'm.
Yeah, no, everyone's going on about it, and I was going in, like you say, the description sounds awesome, almost, but what you described doesn't sound anything like what I watched. It's just really weird. So maybe I need to go back.
Maybe I need
to
be the arbiter, and
he's giving himself an excuse because he kind of wants to watch it. He kind of wants to watch it, but doesn't want to admit it. So now he's like, oh, if I do it just to judge between you two, then I haven't really.
Yeah, well,
I've had to watch it.
Okay, so watch it.
It gives people a reason to listen next week, doesn't it?
And Brett, rewatch it.
Okay. Damien, what are you watching?
Just to get this out of the way, I watched the final season of Afterlife, and I think we said a few weeks back it needs to end. And to be fair, I think it could have quite easily just ended on season 2. This one was.
It's still got rave reviews, though.
Yeah, it isn't unfunny. It isn't not good, but it's literally, there was nowhere for it to go after season 2, really. So season 3 is just kind of just wrapping up everyone's storyline. Doesn't need to be done because this is just people's everyday lives. It's not like there was a major story arc, and any kind of resolution that could be needed on Ricky Gervais's character would be completely out of place. So if he was to kind of, suddenly get over the death of his wife, suddenly find a new woman and all that sort of stuff, that just wouldn't work for how the other 2 seasons have played out. So that was never going to happen anyway. And it just kind of almost peters out till it gets to the end episode, which is just a little bit too saccharine sweet. It kind of, the final episode kind of has a little scene for each of the main characters that are still in the show to kind of, oh look, they're all nice and happy now, or they're all found resolution in their lives, and then it ends. It's just, but I don't know, it felt a little bit strained to as if there was pressure to write a third one, so that's what he felt he had to do. Yeah, so that's that. I mean, it doesn't really fit in the cult faction wheelhouse anyway, so I didn't necessarily want to spend too much time on it, but we did. Fair enough. And it is what it is.
Right. Paul, anything else you've been watching?
Okay, so quick. I'm just going to do a quick couple of mentions, just because they don't fit in. But one thing that I've been looking forward to is Billions coming back, and that's available to buy on Sky at the moment. And I think the thing with Billions is we were sucked into it and binged the first few series. Series 5 is available to buy, and Series 6 is due out soon. If you haven't seen Billions yet, it's definitely worth a watch. So that was just my quick mention of that. We don't need to go into too much detail.
I watched the Ghosts last night in Soho.
Okay. Has
anyone seen that yet?
No, not yet. It's on my soon-to-be watch list, and I might even do Matrix, the new one.
I think I watched the wrong one online.
Yeah.
Again, it's one of those ones that it's got a lot of hype about it, from what I've seen.
Well, the hype is probably justified. I mean, it's Edgar Wright, so you know what you're going to get. It's exactly what you expect from an Edgar Wright film. It's stylish, soundtrack is spot on, the set pieces are done to perfection. The but is that once all the characters in the film have been established, you kind of know how it's going to play out. You know, it's not a big bad or anything like that per se, but you know, I can't talk too much about it because it will give everything away. It's that kind of film. But in short, this young girl, I think Eloise, her name is. She lives in Cornwall. She's going off to study fashion in London, and we get a few hints that she's either got a few mental health issues or she genuinely can see dead people. You know, she's psychic or whatever you want to call it. Because she's having conversations, if you like, with her mum in the mirror, her dead mum in the mirror. So, but you know, at this point, you don't know whether that's, you know, projecting, you know, her within her head, or if it's, you know, genuinely a ghost story. Because I didn't actually know anything about this. It was just a film I knew about, so I didn't know whether it was actually, you know, this is supposed to be about ghosts or it's about mental health or whatever. But that's it. And then so she moves off to London, and she doesn't get on well in student hall, so she gets a bed sit in some back alley in Soho, which is probably in all reality way beyond what she could actually really afford. But you know, we'll just gloss over that little.
I was going to say, so it's set in modern times, not in the olden.
Yeah,
times,
it's set in modern times, but
or
so she
60s when Soho would have been affordable.
Yeah, exactly. But that's it. So she starts experiencing visions of the swinging 60s. So she starts seeing what Soho was like back then, and she gets this vision of this Cilla Black wannabe, if you like. So it's all about her in the present seeing the past, and then there's some dodgy goings on. Again, I'm trying not to give anything away. There's a death, and then it's kind of she's now back in the present trying to work out what's going on or what happened. So yeah, but as I say, so you've got these characters from the past that are being portrayed in her mind, and then there's a kind of people that you think could be those characters now in the present, and it's all kind of pointing towards being something, but you kind of know it's not going to be that. You know it's not going to be this particular person who's doing something and this other lady who's doing that. You know it's not any of that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's a really good film.
So it's worth a watch then.
It is worth a watch. Like I say, I mean, everything is done really well. It's just, I think for the likes of us, we can kind of see what's coming. We know who's who, what's what, by about well before the third act, to be fair. Yeah. But you know, I think your Joe Bloggs who doesn't sit down and watch film and go, right, I'm going to figure this out from it within the first 10 minutes or it's going to kill me. The average punter would sit there and thoroughly enjoy it. But
the only thing that kind of put me off is when I had a look at the trailer, I wasn't sure whether it was like almost something that Woody Allen would have directed or something like that. So you've given me grounds to maybe watch that this weekend.
No, so I don't think I've seen the trailer. I think I saw a couple of clips of it on like some review show or something, and all of those clips are of the 60s parts of the film.
Right.
So that might be where you're getting that idea from. Because I don't
probably
think because I literally went to it knowing nothing about it, so not knowing whether it's supposed to be a kind of ghost horror story, whether it's supposed to be a take on mental health, whether it's just supposed to be some weird girl that has flashbacks. I didn't know anything about it.
And does it kind of pull off that 60 vibe to it?
Yeah, it does. Those bits are done really well because I mean we all know what Soho was. We weren't there, but we know what the reputation Soho had.
Yeah.
In the 60s through to even through to the 80s. To be fair,
it can kind of go two ways. You know, some people do it like an almost a Austin Powers type bloody take on it, don't they?
No, it's nothing like that. I say it's what you would get from Edgar Wright. He doesn't do things by halves, and it wouldn't.
No, I'm a big fan of Edgar Wright.
It's not that kind of
cool.
You know, what we think 60s was like. It's what 60s were like. There's none of that.
Is that to buy?
Yeah, I got it on the equivalent on Virgin, whatever it is.
Is it cheap rent or is it box office rent?
Oh, I can't remember.
Okay.
This was Friday last week.
Okay.
I've slept since then. Maybe only about 5 hours, but I have slept.
And that was One Night in Soho.
Yes.
One night
Last
in Soho,
no. Last night in Soho.
got tougher.
Last Night in Soho. That's definitely not the film I watched. Because in the one I watched, her name was Soho, and she couldn't afford to pay her rent, and then her fridge broke down. But I just turned it off then when I realised it's the wrong film. I don't know what was going to happen. We'll never know. Poor Soho. Other things I've been watching, obviously, Death in Paradise gets the nod again. A strange episode for them because they've kind of gone off their usual
Is it
format
set in
at
Britain?
the moment. But no,
I'm still a couple of
They've
episodes.
done that.
No, I'm still.
yeah,
I'm still
that's
two
why
episodes
I'm not going into it. But it follows on from the bit where it went weird, as we said. I also, obviously, rest in peace, Barry Cryer this week, British legend. So I went back and watched one of the films he wrote, Bloodbath at the House of Death.
Yeah.
The 1983? Right then. 1984 classic. Yeah, he written and directed, written by Barry Cryer and Ray Cameron. I've only just realised that Ray Cameron is Michael McIntyre's dad in my research of this, because Michael McIntyre at the end there's a little ET parody cartoony bit with a little voice of someone doing the ET voice, and that is a young Michael McIntyre in 1984. So I didn't
Such
know
humble
any of that,
beginnings.
and yeah. And then he ended up because his mum was a floor manager on Going Live. Because if you ever watch Going Live, Michael McIntyre's
Yeah,
all
we
over
know.
it.
Yeah, we talked about this.
Yeah,
All right,
I
calm
know,
down.
and I've let it go. But
So
yeah,
it's just like having a
Bloodbath at the
conversation
House
with
of
my
Death.
dad. That's all.
It's everyone's first podcast. Kenny Everett, Pamela Stevenson, Vincent Price, Gareth Hunt, the amazing Don Warrington,
Yeah.
and loads of other people. Barry Cryer himself pops up as a police inspector in the sort of flashback bit at the beginning. It's quite funny watching police seeing a scene and then giving themselves a roll up because you wouldn't get that in films and TV anymore. But yeah, it's haunted house thing, satanic monks. Vincent Price is the sinister man. There's ghosts. There's poltergeist. It's on the Arrow video player at the moment because they brought out like a deluxe redone Blu-ray, re-edited. What do you call it? Reread
Redux.
and redux and off the name redone off the negative and all that. So yeah, it was all right. I remember watching it as a kid. I totally get it a lot more now.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's kind of it's a step up from Carry On, but not
Yeah.
quite bad enough
But it got
be
a lot of stuff.
confession
Got a lot of
type thing.
got a lot of crap at the time because Kenny Everett had done some event where he'd slaved off the government and made some really over the top remarks. That I'm
Yeah,
not
but
repeating
it
off
was
here.
all in the best possible taste.
Oh,
No,
nice.
those ones, right? Even I cringed when I read that, and I think that was when he was trying to be like more a shocking comedian. Like I'm not just
Yeah.
be funny.
I'd never found him funny, if I'm honest. When I was a kid, it was one of those things that Dad would have on the telly and not make us watch, but it would be on, so you had no choice in those days. And I just
It's
find
of
it
its
funny.
time though, and I think like the things like Sid Snot and all that were probably funny to Middle England because they didn't understand, in inverted commas, youth culture. So to the average punter, that's the second time in this podcast I've used that term, but to the average punter, a bloke walking down the street with a mohawk and a pin sticking out of his ears and all that was just weird, and something to be laughed at. So the Kenny Everett kind of show jumped onto that, even though he was probably more down with that kind of attitude than he was against it.
Right, well, let's not forget Kenny Everett's greatest moments ever as the voice of Charlie the cat in the Charlie Says adverts.
Yeah.
And
That's
also, made famous by the Prodigy. Everybody's in the place, let's go. And all that from the Prodigy, Charlie Says. But so that's a good watch. I've also watched.
You're carrying on, are you? You're just carrying
on. He's going on.
I've been quiet for quite a while. I'll have you guys know.
Fine.
I've also been watching. I've watched the first 5 episodes of Hit Monkey on Disney Plus, which is an animated show based on the comic property, where an assassin in I think it's Japan. Yeah, gets shot now, so he goes and hides out in the mountains where they try and kill him, and he's sort of saved by some monkeys and brought back to life. And then the assassins turn back up to kill him and like massacre all the monkeys as well. But one survives, and he sort of well, he turns into a ghost, but then trains the monkey out. And now the monkey's got a suit in hand. It goes around putting hits on, and it's quite enjoyable at the moment. So you've kind of got like a monkey who's an assassin, who's actually a monkey. He doesn't talk or anything. He is just a normal monkey, but he's trained to use weapons. And he's got a ghost human advisor. And
Obviously.
Pretty violent, pretty fit. Because all the way through, I'm like, oh, is he going to merge with the monkeys? Is his brain going to go? Because I've never read the comic. I was waiting for like something to happen where he got bit by the monkey or something. It's like, no, the main guy becomes a ghost and guides the monkey. And they're actually, at the moment, they're looking for revenge of all the people that massacred the monkeys, like tribe or family or whatever you want to call it.
Troop.
So, troop.
Could
Troop. That'd do.
There's a troop of monkeys in it.
Posse.
I don't know.
Right. Well, enough about spanking monkeys anyway, Brett. Because I have been starting to watch something that is all over the internet that no doubt you guys have heard of, and no doubt it's on your watch list, or Damien, probably not your watch list, if I'm completely honest. And this is obviously all on.
I don't know whether to take offence or not.
Well, you're no doubt about to say.
We'll find out when you find out what it is.
Yeah.
So I have been watching the first few episodes of Jiguum Yuri Hakjionium, otherwise known of All of Us Are Dead, on Netflix. And, you know, the internet's saying that this is the new Squid Games, which really, really winds me up. It's not the new Squid Games at all. It's like Korea, South Korea, China, Japan, they only released like one series once in a blue moon and it gets picked up. We've talked about, you know, the amount of content coming out of the East for, well, I was going to say a number of years. Obviously, the podcast hasn't been going that long, but we've been talking about it for ages. So this just so happens to be the next big thing on Netflix that just so happens to come out of the area of the world.
I am taking offence, but carry on.
And I was going to say, I didn't realise this had come out yet, and I'm excited. So tell me about it.
Cool. So this is nothing like Squid Games, okay? It may happen to be, you know, getting.
Is it anything like Squid Game?
Yeah, it's a lot like Squid Game, but nothing like Squid Games. So this is again a new. He's relatively new on Netflix. I think I watched the first 4 or 5 episodes now. So All of Us Is Dead is all about a zombie virus outbreak set in where it starts off in a high school. This is and even there's a reference to the Train of Busan in one of the early episodes. So it's a zombie virus outbreak. Starts off in high school. And it's got the normal type of over-the-top relationship drama type things, but it's not like the American version or soft version where you know someone's dumped by someone. You know, there's a full-on bully there that's basically attacking a girl, getting her to strip off, videoing her. There's some nasty characters there. Oh, if only they're going to find their comeuppance throughout the series, eh? Who knows what might happen? And yes, some of the bits are over the top. Some of the CGI isn't great. The visual effects, visual effects, the prosthetics and all that kind of good stuff, the makeup,
practical effects,
practical effects. They're really good. The storylines. Okay-ish. I mean, you know, it's nothing that hasn't necessarily been done before, but I always liked in the zombie films where it's the starting of it. It's kind of like World War Z. You know, when the outbreak starts, that's the best bit where you're seeing the zombies take over all the different cities and cause havoc. It's normally the later bits of the films that kind of let it down, where they're trying to find the resolution. And this, I've only got up to, like, as I said, episode 4 or something, and this is still the yes, there's the one person that's been bitten, then slowly taking over. Then it's the school that's been taken over, and now they're just starting to break out of the school and cause havoc among the rest of the populace. And it's okay so far. It's not necessarily doing anything that hasn't been done before necessarily, but it's got that kind of edge to it that some of the as the Western cinema doesn't have. But all in all, so far so good. It'll be interesting to see how they develop it and carry on developing it and take it away potentially from the high school. So All of Us Are Dead. Check it out or don't check it out.
Anything else?
So How I Met Your Mother still in the back burner, still plodding along, watching the odd episode of that.
What season are you up to now?
Still series 2 at the moment, but there are quite a lot of episodes in the series.
A lot of episodes.
At the moment, they're still broken up, but the main character's parents came for a visit, and they went out for brunch, and they found out that actually his parents had been separated for a few months. And that was a bit of a shock to him, but they're all happy living their own lives. But that's where we're up to at the moment. And obviously Alison Hannigan and your fella are no doubt going to get back together soon.
Yeah, I think there's quite a few of those storylines in the throughout the entire run. I want to just say Funyuns now. I don't think you've probably even got to yet. I don't know. I can't remember. It's all. I couldn't tell you what bits are in what season because it's all just.
I just love how watching it is adding to my vocabulary and terms that are probably a few years old now. But you guys get it, so that's all I'm interested in.
I still use suit up. I still say what would Barney do, and I still refer to past me and future me.
And have you met Ted? Have you met Ted?
Yeah. Have you met Ted?
Yeah. So am I last?
You are last, Brett, on TV. But I've just remembered a couple of books or audibles I've listened to because I'm not even going to lie and pretend I read anymore. I can't be asked for that nonsense. It's far quicker and easier to just use Audible. There's a couple of books. The first one.
Couple of books. Do it.
Couple of books. I like that. Anyway. So it's Do They Know It's Christmas Yet? Shut up.
Sorry.
Got hours to get through here. Do They Know It's Christmas Yet? By James Crooks. And there's a follow-up, which I think is called Have They Stole a Million Yet? No, it's called Have They Stole a Million Yet? So
okay.
The gist of the first book is these brother and sister are staying at their grandparents' house for Christmas, and they go into the garage and fire up their old what's the Sinclair little vehicle
Spectrum
thing? No,
the C5
big track
C5
big track.
No,
C5.
Jesus.
I said C5.
C5. Yeah, thank you, Paul. So they fire up the old C5 that their granddad had kind of turned into a pretend time machine. So the granddad was like an engineer, and he was all whizzy. There was like a display and everything that made it look like they were traveling back in time.
Although, if you're going to make a time machine, don't make.
Why not do it out of the C5? Yeah, that line may even be in there actually. But so they fire it up, and lo and behold, it actually works, and it sends them back to 1980, not 85, 84. You put Back to the Future in my head, but it sends them back to 1984, and they inadvertently knock down Bob Geldof, so he doesn't get to see the BBC News report of the famine in Ethiopia, and therefore then doesn't kickstart the whole Live Aid and Band Aid and all that stuff. So it's all about that they have to try and then get him to see that, and because he's been knocked down, he's in hospital. Obviously you can't just go walk up to Bob Geldof when he's in hospital. It's a whole obviously a lot of storyline going on in the background of that, but that's the basic premise of the book, and it's just really funny. There's loads of 80s references. Like even Shakin' Stevens pops up in there at some point.
And that's on Audible, yeah. Any names that we'd know doing it, or is it?
Oh no, it's read by the author.
Oh, okay, cool.
And it's just straight out reading the book. And then he's got a follow-up, which is Have They Stole a Million Yet? And it's obviously the same protagonists, and through some slightly convoluted plot line, they have to get their hands on £1 million, and to do this, they know that
Chris Tarrant.
No, Paul Daniel. This is the 80s. They know that
okay.
Paul Daniels is doing some sort of magic trick where he makes £1 million disappear from a bank vault or something in BBC Studios, so that they have to break into BBC Studios, steal the money, etc., etc. Again,
Cool.
full of 80s
Oh.
references, and it's quite clever. So I googled it, and that he did do that on Christmas Day, whatever year it was, 1985 or something, or 1984. That was like the big thing on 4 o'clock
That was their
in the
Christmas.
afternoon on
That's
Christmas
what the
Day.
budget was.
Yeah, So yeah, just really funny, really worth downloading it. But if you got the credits, I don't know whether I'd pay for it. I don't know. But then again, I'm just tight. I subscribe and that's it. I think to myself, if I'm subscribing, I'm not paying for it.
Yeah.
If you're looking for some kind of comic 80s nostalgia, check out Do They Know It's Christmas Yet? And its follow-up, Have They Stolen $1 Million Yet? I think that's what I might be wrong on the follow-up, but if you get the first one, it'll come up in your feed.
Can you remember the author's name?
I can. It is by James Crooks. That's the only 2 things I wrote
James
down.
Crooks.
Do They Know It's Christmas and the author. Do They Know It's Christmas Yet?
Cool.
And the author.
I'm going to do that. Well, my last thing on my list is more a declaration as well. Ladies and gentlemen.
Now, Brett, I am
Peacemaker
fond of
is
you, but...
Yeah, and I had my suspicions for a while.
Yeah.
But we don't have to do this live on the podcast.
Look, that's all our listeners. I'm just taking a pause now as they all take a deep breath and suck the wind back in that they just spat out and from those humorous comments. No, my declaration is nothing like that. It is the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, Peacemaker is a thing. It's a happening. It's a movement. You need to be watching it.
Well, a lot of the people in the UK
it was actually available in the UK, we probably would.
Yes, good point.
So,
but yeah, luckily, but yeah, the soundtrack is awesome. It's James Gunn, so the music ties in straight away, and it's basically my mixtapes from about 1991 of the playlists. He's also doing a Spotify playlist of Peacemaker, which he updates after every new episode. He puts the songs on it.
Cool.
So if you want to check that out. Yeah, definitely not for the younger end of the audience. Hearing John Cena drop a C-bomb is quite refreshing, and to be honest, he looked happy doing it. All those years of kissing babies and high-fiving small children, he's finally like, I can do something, I can say something, yeah, and he's amazing in the role. I hope he gets more than one series. I hope this isn't just a quick kind of something they chucked at James Gunn to try and get him to stick around at the Disney end because all this came about after he got fired from Marvel, and then Marvel took him back, didn't they? So I hope he comes back and does more with it, because there's a lot more to do. The storyline is very good, the way it's unfolding. A lot of the other characters are just really brilliant as well and memorable.
Cool. I think we just have to wait and see how it can come across the pond. My money's on Sky Atlantic. Or whatever, it's not even called that anymore, is it? Sky Max or whatever.
Is it HBO?
Yeah, so it's likely to be
HBO
Sky
Max.
Yeah, which they in most cases, if it's on HBO, it comes over here on Sky Max or one of the Sky. It's
just some cool stuff coming out on Hulu, and they can go one of many ways, can't they? It can be like a Channel 4 thing, or it can be anything. Let's see.
Boba Fett bit, Boba Fett bit, Boba Fett bit,
Boba Fett bit,
Boba Fett bit,
doom,
Boba Fett bit. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away as we look at Chapter 5 of the Book of Boba Fett, Return of the Mandalorian, written by Jon Favreau and directed by Bryce Dallas Howard. An excellent episode, of my opinion. First impressions around the table, guys?
Okay.
Oh.
Well, it's... And I think I said this last week about last week's episode. For a chunk of last week's episode, it was everything you wanted from a Star Wars universe set TV show. And so was this. This was everything.
But...
Oh,
sorry, I thought you'd finished.
And, well, I think we're all going to say it, and everyone's been saying it. It wasn't an episode of Boba Fett, was it?
My comment was, it's probably the best episode of the Book of Boba Fett, but it hasn't got any Boba Fett in it.
Yeah, it was an episode of Mandalorian.
No, I mean,
There's a catch up.
I almost think this like one of the pod races almost backfired on the Book of Boba Fett, because it did seem to shine compared to some of the other episodes or chapters of the Book of Boba Fett. It just felt completely different. It felt, I don't know, more slick, more actiony, more joined up. It felt really good compared to some of the stuff we've seen before.
Well, this is it. So we've kind of been moaning since chapter 1. We've been moaning about the flashbacks. Too many flashbacks. The pacing's all off because of the flashbacks. Do we need the flashbacks, etc., etc.? And now they've gone. We should be happy, and we probably are happy.
Yeah.
But they've been replaced with an entirely different show.
Yeah, and we're happy
And
for
it
the wrong reasons.
Yeah. So it kind of, to me, begs the question: is there a story to tell when it comes to Boba Fett? Because we already know his origin story pre-Trilogy 1, if that's what you want. I don't know what the fan base calls it, but I'm calling it Trilogy 1. So we know his origin before Trilogy 1. And then we got the overused flashbacks. So we now know his origin to the point of the start of the Book of Boba Fett. So what's next for Boba Fett? Because, this episode had all the things we want to see in a Star Wars universe, all of that good stuff. And then we're going to at some point go back to Boba Fett.
So
which is going to be Sopranos in space. And there's no place for that.
So this was more of just, we're getting the band back together. They could have done that with like a 10-minute, catch up with Din Djarin and all that kind of good stuff, and just having him introduced. I mean, it was alluded to in the last episode. Yeah, we need some muscle, or I might know how to get some. But they devoted a whole episode to it, and almost setting up the next season of the book of the next Mandalorian, as opposed to, and I hate to say it, but I kind of feel it took away from the Book of Boba Fett and just highlighted the Mandalorian better.
What I would have done on it,
and I really liked it. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, sorry, carry on.
No. I'm just saying, I really liked it.
Yeah, that's the it was a good episode. I would have just dropped it as an extra. I would have. We've got 2 more episodes of Boba Fett left now, because it's 7 episodes, and it's obviously, this is going to be the big showdown. He's got the gang together now. We're going to bust some shit up. There's going to be shooting and blowing up and stuff. So we're ready for that. He's got a cool ship, new ship, whatever. But I would have brought out episode 6 with I would have had like Return of the Mandalorian, and just whack that up on Disney Plus as a special, and just said you might want to watch this one before you watch episode 6 of Boba Fett. And it's like, oh my god, so we got the series and a special on the Mandalorian, and everyone would have seen it as 2 things rather than just shoehorning it in here to kind of catch up with the Mandalorian.
Yeah, and there's so many good things
about it.
What would
you replace it with? So there's got to be a 6-episode run of Bob, however many episodes. How many episodes is it? 6?
Well, it's 7 episodes. It's going to be.
So there's 7 episodes of the Book of Boba Fett.
I would have had 6 episodes and chucked in a Mandalorian special, or even just not had one that week.
Yeah,
and go and Boba Fett next week again. Just something. So it's its own thing. It's not taken out of Boba Fett, but for this 1 week we had a Mandalorian special. Oh my god! At the end, he's coming back to help Boba Fett. Just a little bit of build up.
But there's so many good things about it. The whole thing. Mando needed a new ship. What ship did he get? All the nice little homages to Phantom Menace. The whole thing about the what is it? The black not lightsaber. What is it?
Dark saber.
Dark Saber.
There you go. You're back down the east end of Cornwall again.
Yeah, but it's the whole thing about that. It's the whole thing about some of the other stuff about me trying to visit Grogu. It was a really good episode. It was just
it wasn't Boba Fett.
For the sake of Boba Fett, it shouldn't have been a whole episode. It should have been a subset of what it was, or as I said, 20 minutes of catching up with Mando, and then his trials and tribulations since Mandalorian. But they devoted a whole episode, and it was a great episode. It just to the detriment, I think, of the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, exactly was.
Yeah, no, I agree.
All of that stuff, everything. And I've said it. I'm going to say it again. It gave us everything we want from a Star Wars based episode. But what does that mean for Boba Fett? Because you can't. Boba Fett isn't going to go off world. He's going to be sat in his palace. So it's going to be like, I think I just said it earlier, but I'm saying it's like Sopranos in space. And I don't think no matter how well you can immerse yourself in what Tatooine looks like and the wretched hive scum of villainy that come along, it's never gonna compare to that one single episode that we've just seen from last week, whatever it was.
I think you hit the nail on the head, because yes, with as far as the Book of Boba Fett goes, we're promised a battle of some kind, and that's what the next couple of chapters needs to be.
Yeah.
But from then on,
the OK Corral.
Yeah, but from then on, as Damien mentioned, well, it's just going to be more of the same, and it's going to be another baddie in development. Whereas Mando and the Mandalorian, we've already got an inkling into what the next series is going to be like, and that is going off to different planets and maybe Mandor and him, taking up the mantle and being able to wield the dark saber, whatever it is. And I'm more interested about that right now. And that was a weird thing about it.
No, it's definitely, I mean, it has set up whatever he's coming next. And I guess that will follow up more when we find out what happens in this big final battle. But are we even going to get a final battle?
I just can't see a final battle saving the show.
I think we're going to get an OK Corral moment, but I'm almost thinking next week, are we going to get Mando goes to see Grogu?
No, it
almost sounds, because he said,
hang on. He's got something else to do first, or something like that. One that he's
I've got.
But that's probably going to be it. He's going to go off, so we won't see him again next episode. But then you've got the final episode where he probably comes back, and the Book of Mandalorian, the third season of thingy of Mandalorian will probably kickstart from him going off in his new pod racer, or whatever it's called now. But no, I don't think we're going to see him again until episode 7.
No,
if they did that, if next episode is more Mandalorian and it's killed Boba Fett completely, it's not killed him as in he's dead. I mean, it's killed the show.
No, but it could be him turning up after he's done that bit with Grogu or whatever, and then just, okay, I'm here. What muscle do you need? All that kind of stuff, and setting up for the.
That's a huge, but that's like a massive time jump. Because does he even know where Baby Yoda is at the moment? Because I don't think that was revealed in. Yeah, but I know he's. But does Mando know where Luke is? I don't remember him mentioning like, oh, cheers, I'm just off down to 71 Baxter Street where we're going to live for the next 10 years. I think he just picked him up and legged it. So he doesn't know where he's gone, does he?
Maybe he can sense him because he's like, Force and shit. That's the normal.
If he holds up the Yoda-shaped package that he was carrying, the ears might, point in the right direction. The ears. I don't know where that came from. Going back down to Cornwall again.
But no, I just think I think we'll have a big OK Corral double episode at the end. But I think we'll get, because the series one, like Mandalorian, was always like a 2-part battle at the end as well. But my revelation will be that it's Emilia Clarke turning up at the end playing her character from Solo. But
a lot. I mean, we kind of assume that might be happening, so I don't think that's going to be too shocking. It's whether they actually finish on a big battle or if they're just trying to set up for season 2, which is what I think.
There'll be something after that. That's what I mean. Oh no, it'll wipe out the fish gang, and then she'll turn up for about 3 lines at the end and go, well, now they're out the way, I better do something, or something like that. That'll be it. It'll just be. Sorry, not what they called. They weren't called the fish gang, were they? They were called Pike gang.
Pike.
The Pike gang. Yes.
Syndicate. Pike Syndicate. How do I know this shit? You're the fanboys, and there's me correcting you.
You love Star Wars, but there's some nice nods in it though. I Someone made a video of it online.
Yeah.
How like the remnants of what Anakin smashed up in his pod race was still there, covered in dust, which was quite nice. At Beggar's Canyon,
Yeah.
and yeah, I think he's got quite a posse now because he's got him, Fennec, the 2 Gamorrean guards. He's got a Rancor, Machete. What was it?
Black Chrysanthemum.
Chrysanthemum, the flowery Wookiee, and the Mandalorian. That's a good posse to have. I'm sure someone else will turn out and go, "I'm here to fight as well," and they'll die early. But and his gang and the mods.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
Does-
well, to
does
be
have
fair,
mods, doesn't it?
only two of the mods have spoken, so the others will probably die
Yeah.
in the battle. But yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm waiting. So I'm thinking good things in the final sort of battle. But again, I think it will be more a kind of Wyatt Earp Doc Holliday final battle than it will be
Well, it has to be. I mean, let's face it. If a
blow up the rebel base in Endor type thing.
Well, if a big
Imperial
army
base
turns
Endor.
up, then there's still only like 8 of them. So,
Well,
there's
no,
still...
that's what happened at the end of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, true.
Oh, but he had Grogu though. So yeah, maybe Grogu comes in and just like.
Sorry,
does
that
some
sounded
cool
more like a
Jedi
theme
shit.
tune to LOLO than
do
I think you were trying to achieve, but anyway. Anyway,
But again, if I was going to give it a rating, it would be the best of the season so far. It's just not a Book of Boba Fett episode; it was a Mandalorian episode.
yeah, and that's it. It's a sad
basically.
indictment for the show that's the best one because it's got nothing to do with Boba Fett whatsoever.
Yeah.
Apart from that bit at the end where she turned out for some money and he wasn't even in it. But no, I'm excited. I'm waiting for the next one. We'll find out soon enough. And
Yeah, we will. So you're not excited about this, or do you? I mean, are you? Because I'm kind of in 2 minds, almost like it's killed off the Book of Boba Fett for me, but made me look forward more to the Mandalorian season 3 than I probably was.
My thinking is that I'm gonna watch this because this is what we talk about. I could genuinely not be fussed if I don't watch the final 2 episodes.
You wait till the end, you'll go, oh my god, I can't believe that happened.
No,
Well, you said that to him about the Mandalorian, to be fair.
Yeah.
It was cool. I can't remember what happened at the end now, but it was cool.
Jesus. Anyway, it's a good episode. We all agreed.
News desk.
The news.
News items.
Okay, first up in the news, David Hayter is to adapt American McGee's Alice video game series into a TV series.
That's right. In the games, Alex loses her parents in a fire and slips into a catatonic state for years. When the White Rabbit calls Alice back to Wonderland, she discovers that it has been transformed by her trauma into a dark reflection of itself. To quote David Hayter himself, American McGee's Alice and Alice Madness Returns game series is a groundbreaking reimagination of the classic tale. It takes you to the heart of a corrupted Wonderland and throws light into shadowy corners in the world has never seen. The new Alice adaptation is being produced by EA in partnership with Abandon Entertainment, and I am beyond excited.
Well, the games are really, really brutal back in the early 2000s and really disturbing. So I'm hopeful for a really screwed up TV series out of this. Do you remember the games, Paul?
I don't actually. Yeah, as long as they do it, brutal as opposed to what was it, the fairy tale one where they catch up with the old characters from Fables and stuff that went on for about 8 or 9 series or whatever it was.
Oh, Once Upon a Time.
Yeah. As long as they make it more like American Gods, but do a decent version of it.
Oh no, this is like real psycho messed up stuff.
Yeah,
like I remember Alice coming around with a carving knife, stabbing people and stuff.
And that's what I mean. As long as they keep it down to that kind of level, as opposed to trying to soften it up, which would go against what I think it's trying to do, then it could be cool. We shall see. At the moment, there's not much to go on.
But one you will be interested in, Paul.
Yes, I
is
am.
Our next news item. There is a Dungeons and Dragons TV series in the works. Tell us about it, Damien.
That's right, there is. So Red Notice
what's
Helmer, Rawson Marshall Thurber will write and direct the Dungeons and Dragons TV series based upon the extremely popular role-playing game from Wizards of the Coast. I was really excited when I first read about this because I thought,
I know
Dungeons
you're
and
going
Dragons,
to
the
say
cartoon
exactly
series.
what I did.
But, it's not. Anyway, so Thurber is also attached to executively produce the series. The TV show is not directly connected to Dungeons and Dragons live-action feature film, which recently wrapped production. This universe will complement E1's film franchise. So it's got nothing to do with the film. It's got nothing to do with the awesome 80s cartoon.
That's
What's the point
exactly my
of it?
point. All we want is a live action TV series of the 80s cartoon. We do
Yeah.
not want all the other, you can introduce new characters, whatever. I mean, that was it Outrider, the car advert from, I can't remember what country it was from now, a couple of
That's
years
right,
ago.
yeah.
They did it in an advert. And and it was amazing. It's the best advert ever made. Official. They'll sell it. I mean, that was 2019, I think it was, just looking it up. But that's what we want. We want that. That's Dungeons and Dragons. That's the Dungeons and Dragons people know. You've got the storyline there. You've got the characters. Make it into a TV series. It's not hard. Stop pissing about all these other things.
It is one of those daft things. You've got everything that you actually need at your disposal to make a great series. Why aren't you doing it? Why are you contemplating trying to do something different? Or, I mean, and let's face it, the amount of Dungeons and Dragons or type films that have been out there over the last 30 years, which aren't great, that some of them being low budget, some of them being quite substantial budget, but just failures. Because what people want is Dungeons and Dragons cartoon remade live action, or take those characters further. And
this is just a Game of Thrones, Witcher, whatever you want to insert fantasy thing here thing, isn't it? Because the joy of the 80s cartoon was these were real world people thrust into that universe. These are all characters that are based in that world, and then they go off and have an adventure. That's what Dungeons and Dragons is, isn't it?
But yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But the thing that you need to understand as well. Go on,
I was just gonna say the joy of the original of the cartoon was that this was real world people finding their way in this. So you had a different juxtaposition and all that sort of stuff going on.
Yeah.
So they've already got the
They had to
script.
get home.
They've already got the script. They've already got the storyline for a great film. Just make it. Why are they going off on a tangent to interject some new stuff to
I'll
it?
tell you what they're trying to do, and it always fails, and it fails in the comic book world, and it fails in this sort of world as well. No one else is going to watch this and then go and buy Dungeons and Dragons to play. It's not going to draw it in. It's been proven over the years. The people that like it. It's still got a fan base that grows. Same as comic book readers. Comic books have got a fan base where readers. It does grow. As people get older, people pick them up again. But there's never been an increase like the Avengers and Marvel at the moment. Marvel's at an all-time high at the moment at cinema. It has not impacted 1% on comic book sales. This is going to be advert
I'm agreeing
with all the different things to try and do it. So just make something good where people might just like it anyway. Yeah, but then we won't get that. It's going to be another wasted
half-assed fantasy drama that no one really cares about. What we got next?
It's going to be shit. Next, wait till you hear about this one. Talk about bringing things back. Mary's Monster explores the true birth of Frankenstein. What's that about, Damien?
So that is about Frankenstein author Mary Shelley being the subject of a new feature film biopic being produced by Fulwell 73 and Rose Pictures. The film is titled Mary's Monster, and it will follow Shelley as she struggles to complete her Gothic masterpiece, which was first published in 1818. Farron Blackburn is set to direct the film from a screenplay written by Deborah Brackstrom. The brief story description reads: terrified of giving voice to the darkness of a subconscious mind, Mary Shelley locks into a dangerous battle with her own inner monster as she struggles to write her seminal science fiction novel, Frankenstein. I don't think she knew at the time it was seminal.
I don't think that word existed, does it?
No.
Has this not been done already?
Yeah, but this one's about her and her mental struggles writing it, not just like her life. And the other one was about her marriage with Byron.
Yeah, but also focused on
her.
Yeah, but
Didn't she just write it to prove a point anyway? Wasn't it? I don't think there was much of a struggle. She wrote it to prove a point that women can write equally
Yeah,
terrifying gothic novels as anyone else.
and that focused on her with all the other literary, big times and big shots out there at the time. What was
There's
that?
a big
What was
party.
that?
They're all off their tits.
What was that film?
It was.
I don't know. I know the one you mean.
But it was alright actually, for what it was, which was a biography of her as opposed to. I don't know. I don't know what this is going to bring to the table.
Well, it's going to be another exploration of it.
No, it's not.
Again,
it's going to be it's going to be her, and then it's going to be like some dark flashbacks or cut scenes to a monster trying to attack her or something, which is going to be completely out of sync with the rest of the story, as opposed to what actually happened, probably. Which is what we've had already delivered to us. Right.
Yeah,
so
I think it's safe to say that none of us are particularly overexcited about this prospect, are we?
No.
It's one of those. I'd probably watch it if it was on telly, but I'm not going to be rushing to.
I'm going to get a T-shirt with that printed on, Brett, just so you can wear it for this podcast.
Anyway, what's next on the news roundup?
We've got one news item left. There's another TV show development in the works. You have heard of it before. Let the Right One In is being developed as a TV show.
That's right. Let the Right One In, inspired by the original Swedish novel and the romantic horror film with the same name, dealing with themes of human frailty, strength and compassion. The show centers on Mark and his daughter Eleanor, whose lives were changed forever when she was turned into a vampire a decade ago. Thoughts?
Been done, isn't it?
A remake of a remake. It's been done twice.
Yeah, the film's been done twice. So,
are they gonna kick in the film? It wasn't her dad that was with her, was it?
Do you know?
It was like a servant. No, it was a servant because the whole thing was like, I think in the original one, it was almost like a bit of a pedo-y sort of hint about him, but she kept him in line because she'd kill him or something, and he become her servant. And then obviously there was a twist about her as well later on that I won't reveal.
Just in case anyone's not seen a 20-year-old film.
Yeah. Well, you never know. And and that was why he was the servant and that. But obviously maybe, network TV might not like that, so he's now her dad.
It's a flooded market, and we've spoken about this before. When it comes to vampires, there've been just so many of them. This just seems like who's this produced by? Do we know whether it's Netflix, Amazon, whether it's just a?
It's got quite a big cast. I don't know. I guess at the moment that wasn't on the thing, but then they do that sometimes because they want everyone to bid for it, don't they nowadays? And for which content provider might get it.
Well, let's face it. It's been a few years since Twilight, so maybe there will be a market for it. It's just not my cup of tea at the moment because the market's just saturated with vampire stuff, and this isn't bringing anything forward.
So there you go.
Done.
Right, so that is all we've got on the news desk this week. There are a couple of new trailers coming out as well. There's The Ledge, The Phantom Warrior, and Netflix have doing a kind of follow-on from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where it's so many years back and Leatherface has emerged again, and it's apparently a follow-on. So if you want to watch those, if you go to cultfaction.com, they're all there for you to see and have a look at. In that case, then I guess it's time to wrap things up. Again, please, ladies and gentlemen, please check us out on all your podcast apps. Share us, tell your friends about us, and give us a review, give us some likes on the podcast things. They really do make a difference to us. All the information, everything where we are across the internet can be found on cultfaction.com. You can find us on all the different social media outlets. If you need to contact us for any reason or feel obliged to correct us on something, what's our email address, Damien?
Our email address is
cultfactionpodcast@mail.com.
There you go. So that even
There we go. Thank you, Paul.
It's the only thing I can remember on a regular basis.
Anything I can say then is that it's ta-ta from me.
And it's a good night from me.
And it's a goodbye from me. Don't have nightmares.
See you all next time.
Bye-bye.
Superman.
Surprise!
Next thing you know, we've got something shoved in the back of my fucking throat. And not in a good way. No, I don't want Damon to get into it even more fan.
I'll get in a foul mood if we spend 20 minutes on one TV program, that's when I get in a family. I'm Ron Burgundy. We ended the monkey thing. The new. Well, I'm just saying.
I know you said it.
Well, I don't know if the message has landed or not. I'm just saying.
Let the magic happen.
What, so your mum was out and Dad was on the internet talking to men?
No, we were both in. It was earlier on before dinner. This is podcast gold.
In the tree of trust, in the loving tree of knowledge?
No.
And Paul died.
Yes.
No,
that's
I'm
what-
just doing
big
stuff.
pause.
Just put the iPad down. Carry on.
She just disappeared from
It's
screen.
like you just collapsed.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Carry on.